Sorry about that. We're a little late in starting. I do apologize. Hold on a second. Let me get the light on so you can see me and I can see you. There we go. A little better. Okay. Today we're reading from Sheriff in a Small Town 4, and today's reading is Farmer's Day. So let's begin. Come Monday, Josh headed into work feeling in a very good mood. Jane and he had finally set the date for the wedding, and he was walking on air. Meeting Talbot, who was doing his morning walk around town, he fell into step with him. As they passed the general store, Josh was almost knocked off his feet when Luke burst outside and collided with him. Luke stopped, looked at Josh for a moment, then pointed a long finger into Josh's chest. "Don't keep sheep," he informed him, and nodding once, continued on his way. Josh brought out his notebook and made a reminder. Suddenly he sat down on the nearest. Suddenly he sat down on the nearest bench and began to scribble away. Devil looked at Luke's retreating back in wonder. Luke was a farmer who rarely came into town. Devil knew him to be a bachelor, an excellent farmer and stockkeeper, and who often won prizes with his cattle. But why letting Josh know he didn't keep sheep set him writing in his book? He couldn't fathom. He sat next to Josh and waited until he had covered 3 pages of shorthand notes. Finally, Talbot's curiosity became too much, and he had to ask. "Well, it's got you all fired up. All the man said was, 'Don't keep sheep.' What'd you get from that?" Josh looked up from his notes and turned back to the start. "Well, he's usually the spokesman for the regular farmers who keep cattle and raise crops. He's letting me know that they don't keep sheep, so they can't compete, and he wants me to figure out a competition that they can participate in." From the tone in his voice, he wants something pretty quickly, as they're getting frustrated not having anything for themselves. Talbot raised an eyebrow. "You got all that from 3 words?" Josh laughed. "Sure. Luke doesn't talk much and says only what needs to be said, no more. I worked with him in the summers when I was a kid and kind of learned his short talk. He knew I'd catch on." Talbot shook his head and rose to finish his tour of duty. "See, Josh, it'll be interesting to see what you come up with." He headed up to the historical building and then would go via side streets to the courthouse. As he walked, he tried to figure out what kind of events could be adapted for farmers. He had an image of the farmers tossing hay bales for a start, then maybe wrestling a calf or chasing a piglet. He'd never really considered all the things a farmer did. Arriving at the courthouse, he pulled Joe out for a ride to a farm. They decided to seek out Tom to have him explain the typical day. Driving into the yard, Tom was climbing into the tractor, pulling a wagon of manure for the field. Jack came out of the barn with Millie and Willie tagging along. Jack had been a hobo for a while, but when he came to work on Tom's farm, he had done so well he was offered the position as Tom's right-hand man. To the kids, he was like a big brother who looked out for them. Evan noticed that Jack seemed to be ready to take a break. "Morning, Jack. Have you got a few minutes?" Jack looked up at his 2 shadows. "Oh, better ask the bosses." "Well, can I go talk to the sheriff?" Willie looked at Talbot and Joe. "Yeah, he's putting a good morning's work." Millie rolled her eyes and reminded Jack lunch was in half an hour. They went into the barn and sat on a few hay bales. "Well, gentlemen, what can I do for you?" Talbot looked around the barn. "Jack, I just realized I don't have a clue what goes on a farm. I was kind of hoping you could give me a rundown." Jack stroked his chin. "Yeah, sure thing. Let's see, I usually get up around 6, milk the chickens, get the cows off their nests and into the coop. That's time to grease the pigs." Talbot interrupted him with a raised hand. "Okay, tell you why I want to know, then maybe I can get a straight answer. Luke down the road told Josh that he doesn't keep sheep. That's all he said, and Josh says it means that Luke wants a festival for the farmers. I was trying to figure out what kind of events you might like to have." "Oh, well, you need a serious answer." Let's see if we can come up with some events that showcase what a farmer deals with on a daily basis." Jack settled his back against the barn wall and looked around. Well, a hay bale toss would do well as a cow flop throwing contest. I think you don't want the normal rodeo types of events, so looked around again. How about a feed bag lift and carry? Say using two at a time and raising it until only one finishes. Maybe a pot shot contest with rat silhouettes as the targets. Um, a grease stick chase would be hilarious and fun to watch. And a wheelbarrow race where the bin is full of manure. You fall and it's almost a sure bet you get a face full of it. Maybe even an obstacle course where you have uneven sections, muddy patch, hill climb, maybe a sprinkler going near the top to make it slippery. That's about all I've got at the moment, but maybe we can get with Tom when he gets back. A voice from the doorway announced Tom's presence. He is back. What's going on? Tyler explained what they had been discussing and what Jack had suggested. Well, sounds like you've got the right ideas. He sat down next to Jack. I think a willy throw might be fun. I like the wheelbarrow one. How about a rope challenge? Oh, I've got a great one. An egg toss between two people. They have to keep getting farther and farther apart after each throw. That was hastily scribbling away, trying to keep up with all the ideas. He presented them to Josh, and then Josh and Morgan, who could narrow the events down to what they came up with. Oh, thanks, guys. Maybe we can finish up with a tug of war or something for a team effort. This is going to be a lot of fun. Jack and Tom walked Talbot and Joe to the squad car. As they were about to leave, Tom leaned down to Talbot's window. I'm glad the town's finally doing something we can be part of. It's nice to be included and appreciated. Look forward to seeing what you folks choose and what it'll be like. Talbot drove off, and Joe was going through the notes and realized that town didn't have much in the way of hills. I think the best place to hold this might be at Roger Wilkins' place. Roger has the most diverse farm in the county. But it means folks would have to drive a far piece to get there for the day. Talbot agreed, but figured the location for the event. I don't know why that keeps doing that. I think the best place to hold this thing might be Roger Wilkins' place. Roger has the most diverse farm in the county, but it means folks would have to drive a far piece to get there for the day. Talbot agreed, but figured the location for the event could best be left to Josh and Morgan. Talbot pulled up outside the Civic Center and presented his notes to Josh. Talked to Tom and Jack, and I thought we'd give you a hand with some ideas I had. Josh and Morgan were sitting at the diner, going over theirs and Talbot's notes. I think Talbot has the best plan. Going over to talk to Jack and Tom was a good idea. Joe was, where the hell are we going to do it? There aren't a lot of hill areas around, and we'll have to head out as far as Roger's place to have a big enough space. Think he'd allow us to make a mess of his farm for it? Josh considered and thought Roger might be amenable. After all, it was for the farmers, and he was one of the biggest in the county. The hill is where he kept his sheep and was not being used, as he had the sheep on one of his fallow fields to crop it down so he could use it again. Morgan thought it'd be a good idea to pay Roger a call and discuss the possibility with him. Josh agreed. On the trip down, they narrowed down the event and what they would need, both for participants and the people who came to watch. Oh my God, that's it. So we're gonna, history is next, and that's kind of an interesting one where you've got two people who have been in town for a while, I don't want to give too much away because it's a good chapter. I like writing it. So I look forward to seeing you again on today is, I don't even know anymore. Today's Tuesday. So we'll be doing this next reading on Friday, and I guess, like I said, that's history. So I look forward to seeing you again. I hope you are enjoying these chapters. I hope you'll be back on Friday to hear that one, because everybody's involved in that one. And, that's about it. That's all I got today. So I look forward to seeing you again. Hope you'll be here, and be good to yourself. Have a good day. Bye.